We will continue, inshallah, with the series we started last Friday, Simple Lessons from the Quran. And where I ended last time, on last Friday, was the first requirement of benefiting from the Quran is to learn to respect it properly and handle it properly. And inshallah, I'll continue from there today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran a number of things which are necessary to receive maximum benefit from the recitation of the Holy Quran. Among those four things, number one, Allah said in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. The very first necessary thing. When you recite the Quran, seek refuge, seek protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan, the accursed. The second necessary requirement, as Allah mentioned in the Quran, إِنَّهُ لَقُرْآنٌ كَرِيمٌ في كتاب مكنون لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. This indeed is a noble Quran inscribed in a well-guarded book which none but the pure may touch. And number three, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. When the Quran is recited, then listen to it and pay attention that you may receive mercy. And number four, Allah said, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Do they not reflect upon the Quran? If it had been from anyone else than Allah, they would have found within it much contradictions. Subhanallah bihamdihi subhanallah. I'm going to go into a bit of details of all of these. Just before then, I like to mention the major themes in the Quran. Scholars of Quran have disclassified the major themes of Quran from many different perspectives. I will share with you the major themes in this Holy Quran as I have come across studying it for years. The very first theme in the Quran is aqaid, instilling proper belief system. The second thing that Quran talks about repeatedly is the creation. The third, Allah's relationship, the creation's relationship with the Creator. Number four, providing guidance, which include principles, lessons, warnings, and consolations. Number five, example of His signs within us and around us. Number six, the focus on accountability, that you are not here to roam free, you were not created purposeless, that you are accountable creation. And number four, it talks about repeatedly about Day of Judgment. And number eight, it mentions historical examples of earlier nations and their fate, what happened to them. Then let's go inshallah into the revelation itself. The Holy Quran is the only book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which was revealed bit by bit over 23 years, rather than given to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam altogether once. Clearly, therefore, it was purposeful. It was purposeful why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to reveal this book bit by bit based on the need and circumstances of the time. So what was needed for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what was needed for him to convey the message, what were the existing circumstances, those were taken into consideration in the revelation of the Quran bit by bit. The order that we find Quran Sharif in right now is not that same order. So we all know that the very first verses of Quran were what? Very first verses of Quran that came in Ghar Hira was what? Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. That is not how the Quran begins in the combined version now. However, it is very interesting to remember and very important to remember that despite the fact that it was revealed bit by bit, given the circumstances, and also to guide Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the believers how to actually practice and live it. But the compilation of these verses as they were revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was also guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as we all know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not educated. He was not able to read or write. He had, therefore, around him a whole bunch of companions who were capable of writing. They were called scribes. So as the verses were revealed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him as to which verse should be put after or before which verse. So he would guide and he would instruct the scribes that these verses should be put before or after these verses. And thus, at the end of 23 years, when the Quran was completed, it was inscribed and put together in the form it is right now. And it is the Quran that in the form right now is the Quran which is protected in Lawh Mahfuz. This is where it was written. In the form it is here now, but was revealed bit by bit depending upon the circumstances. Before the beginning then, Allah said, number one, seek protection from shaitan. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. I seek protection with Allah from the shaitan, the rejected one, the accursed one, the condemned one. There are many very dangerous things in this world for human beings, very harmful. But their harm is temporary and very often recoverable. I'm going to give you some examples. We fall sick, we get ill, we end up with viruses, we end up getting bitten by mosquitoes, we are harmed by possibly all kinds of dangerous things in the world. But the harm of those things are temporary and limited mostly to this physical body. The danger and harm of all those other things which are dangerous to human beings is limited only to this human body, and it's temporary and reversible. However, the danger that's posed by shayateen ins wal jinn, is much, much more dangerous and destructive for humankind. Way more destructive and dangerous than any other thing which can be a danger to us. It does not only destroy the material body, but it destroys the soul. And its harm goes with us even after this life. This is how dangerous this is. The danger from shaitan is not just limited to this life or this body. It actually destroys the human soul, corrupts it, and goes with it even after we die, and we keep suffering from it even in the life hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala therefore has clearly and repeatedly informed us in the Holy Quran about shaitan's evident and declared animosity to the mankind. After he refused to obey Allah's command and bow before Adam alayhi salatu salam, Allah said, Inna shaytana yanzighu baynahum, Inna shaytana kana lil insani aduwwan mubina. Inna shaytana insani aduwwan mubin. After disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and refusing to do sajda to Adam alayhi salatu salam, he was thrown out and rejected, and he was banned from entering Jannah, where he used to freely roam around with the angels. Prior to this incident, he was permitted to go into the paradise and roam around with the angels wherever he wished. But after this incident, he was banned from entering the paradise. He challenged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, given an opportunity, he would prove to him that mankind is no better than him. That these humans that you have given superiority over me are going to be no better than me. They will be even worse than me. And I can prove it to you if you give me the permission. If you give me the time, if you give me the opportunity, I will prove it to you. Allah said, okay. Permission given. He challenged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Astaghfirullah. And was therefore accursed, cursed forever. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the opportunity to prove himself. It was not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was being challenged and he accepted the challenge. Please understand that. It was not for that reason. Okay, here's your opportunity, let me see what you do. That was not the reason. The reason was giving him the permission to do so would be the only way to test human beings. Giving him that opportunity would have been the only way to test human beings on the earth to see if they would fulfill their objectives or not, and who would not. And the proof of that, what I'm saying, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed Adam alayhi salatu salam and his wife Hawa alayhi salatu salam in the paradise, asked them to eat from wherever they like, except don't go near to this tree, just one tree, and eat from its fruit. A test. There's no evil tree in the paradise. There's nothing evil in paradise. But it was the test. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended to inform Adam alayhi salatu salam and teach them a lesson through experience of who his enemy is and what will he use to deceive you, to harm you, and what happens after you do that. So Allah said, fine, permission given, you have the opportunity until the day of judgment, but with the warning. What was the more warning? لِمَنْ تَبِعَكَ مِنْهُمْ لَأَمْلَأَنَّ جَهَنَّمَ مِنْكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. Whoever will obey you, I will fill all of you in Jahannam. Shaitan did not waste any time. He did not waste any time to begin his mission to destroy mankind. The first pair of human beings, Adam and Hawa, were placed in paradise with one simple warning, as I mentioned. The two were in paradise and he was banned from entering it. Now remember, if you read tafsir, and I don't want to go into tafsir, but I just want to mention something. If you read the tafsir, they would say that that the shaitan went into Jannah in the form of a snake, or in the form of a peacock, etc., etc. Not necessarily. When he was banned from entering the paradise, how would Allah allow him to go in there again? He was banned, rejected, discarded. How he would disobey or go over and beyond Allah's decision. You can't enter paradise anymore. So then how did he deceive Adam and Eve into obeying him? And where did he do this from? The reason I'm mentioning this is for us to understand Shaitan's capabilities. For him to deceive me, to deceive you, he doesn't have to appear before you. He can do it from a distance. Allah said, they see you where you see them not. These shayateen see you where you cannot see them. But he can put a waswas, a whisper in your mind and heart from a distance. That's exactly what he did. Adam and Hawa, interesting point again, why A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim is necessary. Adam and Hawa, with all their knowledge that Allah has given Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, like Allah said that Allah gave him the knowledge that angels did not have, that none of his other creatures had. With all that knowledge, they were not able to defend themselves against him. Very important point to remember. They were not able to defend themselves on their own against his deceptions. Allah said in the Quran, but Shaitan made an evil suggestion to both of them, that he might reveal to them their shame that remained hidden from them. He said, your Lord has forbidden you to approach this tree only to prevent you from becoming angels or immortals. And he swore to them both, surely I'm your sincere advisor. I'm your sincere advisor. Thus Shaitan brought about their fall by deceit. He deceived them into believing him. How were they deceived? It was because of their own human weaknesses. And we need to remember that. We all have weaknesses that Shaitan exploits. He knows very well our weaknesses. And I have mentioned several times, the major weakness that we have is fear and greed. Two major weaknesses that Shaitan exploits all the time. Fear and greed. What he told them was that you are going to be thrown out of here. This beautiful life that you're enjoying, you're going to be here, you're going to be gone. But I have a way for you to stay here. Now obviously, after enjoying such a great life in paradise, who wants to go out of there? Right? Who wants to go out of there? So they were afraid, oh my God, we don't want to lose all this. We don't want to lose all this. So, yes, you can. Just eat from the tree. And then you will become like angels who are always here. Then you will become like angels and immortals, and they're always here. And this greed, second thing, this greed of wanting more of this and keeping it all, got them. And they ended up eating from the forbidden tree. And Allah said immediately, did I not forbid you from that tree? And did I not warn you that Shaitan is your declared enemy? That was the lesson that Allah wanted to teach humankind. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has advised us to seek protection of Allah from Shaitan before reciting the Quran. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Understand this very carefully. Al-Quran is intended to provide guidance to mankind, to inform them of what will be beneficial and harmful for them, what is right and what is wrong, and that they will be held accountable for their choices and behavior. And Shaitan's objective is to stop mankind to receive this guidance. He does not want you and me to receive this guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through Quran, to find out what is good and what is bad for us, what is harmful, what is beneficial for us, that we are accountable beings. He does not want us to know this. As soon as you open Quran, He is right there. Because this is His mission, to keep you from disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from not understanding properly what His commands are, what is good and what is bad for you, and He continuously intervenes. Mankind, like the first of their kind, Adam and Hawa, is not capable of protecting themselves from His whispers and attacks without the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has advised us to recite A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim before beginning to recite the Holy Quran. I am sure those of us, you, me, who regularly recite Quran, every time we open the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and begin to read it, what happens? All kinds of thoughts start to go through your mind. And you start feeling tired. Start feeling tired. You start feeling bored. If you sincerely had recited A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim with understanding what you just said and believing it. See, most of the time, the problem that we have is we do these things, we recite these things as a tradition, without truly understanding what it is that we are saying. Subhanallah, if we just paid attention, in our heart, as our tongue is saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim, and in our heart reflect upon what I just said. that I sought Allah's protection. That Allah, beyond whom there is no power. That Allah who has taught me how to seek protection from shaitan. That Allah, nothing is beyond His power. And that Allah can protect me, will protect me from shaitan. 5 seconds of reflection as you recite A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem. Just 5 seconds, 10 seconds of reflection. And Wallahi Lazim, you will notice something. Thoughts will still come to your mind. Thoughts will still come to your mind. But Allah would warn you right away. A contradictory thought will come right to your mind and says, shh, focus here. And would not let you drift away. The reason I'm explaining this to you is because if you say, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, and even reflected upon it, and even then the thoughts came, you said, it didn't work. And I'm saying thoughts will come, because human mind is such that it is thinking all the time. Thoughts will still come. But as the thoughts will come, there will be another contradictory thought. And say, shh, pay attention, you're reciting Quran. And you will not be kidnapped by shaitan into these thoughts. You will not be taken away, to drift away from it. And this is how Allah will protect us. Then, moving right along. Where did I go? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem is necessary to seek protection of the interference of shaitan, similarly, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is necessary to receive the benefits from Allah's guidance from Quran. Necessary. So one is to protect you from shaitan, the other is to actually provide you the guidance that you're looking for. Allah is the proper name. Allah is the proper name reserved for what we call God. There's no other being in this world that has that name. He alone, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad, wa Lam Yakun Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. He alone has that name, Allah. There's no other with that name. And this name is reserved for Him. It signifies, the name Allah signifies the one who is ever existing. Number 2, who is capable to create. Number 3, He is capable of sustaining His creatures. No one else has. No one else is ever existing. No one else is capable of creating. And no one else is capable of sustaining His creation. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanallah, pay attention to this one. All 99 of His attributes are included in this single name. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, Ar-Razak, etc. It's all 99 of His attributed names are all included in this one name, Allah. Which is why scholars believe that what they call Ism-i Azam is Allah. Ism-i Azam, the greatest of the name, of Allah is Allah. Because Allah includes all His 99 attributes. Allah is Ism Azam. With this beautiful name, when you call upon Him, He attends to you with all His 99 names, traits. Everything is there for you. And as such, subhanallah, even a non-believer, a person who is an unbeliever, if he says Allah, Allah will attend to him. A person who does not believe in Allah gets in trouble and says Allah, Allah will immediately attend to him. Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanallah azim. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. In English translation, Ar-Rahman and Rahim are often translated as most gracious, most merciful, sometimes most compassionate, most merciful. There are no equivalent words of Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim or their translations in any other languages of the world. However you translate those two words, Ar-Rahman and Rahim, will not explain what truly those two attributes mean. Is Ar-Rahman and Rahim the same thing? They all mean the same, like I showed you the translation. They are translated the same, but are they the same? Absolutely not. Ar-Rahman does not have the same characteristics as Ar-Rahim. I'm going to explain it to you right now. Ar-Rahman is that attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which is expressed through His unlimited and unconditional mercy and generosity on all His creatures regardless. Let me repeat. Ar-Rahman is that attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which is expressed through unlimited and unconditional mercy and generosity to all His creatures, animals, humans, believers, unbelievers, obedient, disobedient, everyone. You see, those who are unbelievers, those who are rebellious, those who go out of their way to destroy His servants, those who killed His prophets, Allah provided them all with risk. Allah never withhold their risk. Allah never withhold anything that will be required for these creatures to live, survive. Unconditional generosity. But Ar-Rahim is different. Ar-Rahim is the attribute which is expressed through His unlimited and promised mercy and forgiveness in the life hereafter for the believers only. Let me repeat. Ar-Rahim is that attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which is expressed through His unlimited and promised mercy and forgiveness in the life hereafter, only limited for the believers. Ar-Rahman will not be operative there. In the day of judgment, Ar-Rahman will not be operative. Ar-Rahman was for this world, for everyone. There it will be Ar-Rahim that will be operative. And if He chooses to forgive even a disobedient one, an unbeliever one, it will be Ar-Rahim that will be operative, not Ar-Rahman. Which is why Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim is such a powerful kalima that every task you begin with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, with Allah's blessings, Allah will bring that task to its proper end with khair. Let me just explain one more thing before I quit for today. That does not mean that when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and you start a task, you start doing something, that you will always succeed. That's not what it means. Remember what I said. What it means is that with Allah's blessing, it will end with whatever is khair for you in that. Because only Allah knows if giving you what you're working for is beneficial for you or harmful. Only He knows. But whatever the end will be, with the barakah of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, there will be khair in it. Remember, I talked about beliefs last time. Beliefs are very important. Believing that saves us from losing our iman. Proper beliefs save us from losing our iman. I do something, I work hard at doing something, I said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I don't succeed. My belief will dictate, don't worry, maybe it was not meant for you to have it right now. And there is khair in it. No problem. Your iman is saved. This is why A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim are important to recite before reciting the Quran. Next Friday, I will inshallah begin with Surah Fatiha and talk about what lessons Surah Fatiha teaches us and all the 8 themes, how do they occur, where do they occur in Surah Fatiha, inshallah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati ma yasifun, salamun al mursalin, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin.